She entered the salon smiling. She left with half hair, no transfer alert, and a lesson that will follow her for life. This story is about two lovers, full of emotions and confidence. If you listen to their calls, you would think wedding introduction was next. If you read their chats, you would swear this love was solid, but it wasn't. From the very beginning, banter was the thing. She teased him for everything. If he replied late, she called him a serious man with old man habits. If he replied early, she said he was jobless. She laughed at her jokes and he laughed as well. Or at least he smiled. He was the quiet type. Not the type that shouts and not the type that argues, but can store grudges more than storage tanks. She did not know that every joke she cracked landed somewhere deep. He never corrected her, never complained, and never fought. Instead, he told himself quietly, one day I will respond, not with words but with action. Despite everything, she trusted him completely. She called him Obim like it was official. Morning, afternoon, and night. Obim everywhere. She told her friends proudly, God washed his hands and created this man just for me. Her friends teased her. Easy, oh. You don't take a man too serious until he has done the needful. She would laugh and boast that nothing on earth will make the relationship scatter. She was so confident that it would end in exchange of marital vows, and truly she believed it because he checked on her. He cared and he sounded responsible. So what could go wrong? December arrived with its usual madness. Christmas pressure entered everywhere. People started changing DP, shopping new hairs and new clothes. She looked at her hair and sighed. One day, she mentioned it casually. This Christmas, I need to braid my hair and I need like 5 attachments because I want it to be very, very long. He didn't hesitate. Why not? And that response encouraged her. I don't have a dime. Oh. Will you give me the money? She asked. Yes, my love. Just go to the salon. Before they are done, I should have been able to make an exchange with an aboki. You know my Naira account is red. She asked again. Are you sure? Yes, now, he replied. She asked again. Like, very sure? Madam, will you go or will you not go? He replied. At some point, he got irritated. Have I ever failed my words before? That sentence shut down every doubt. She trusted him, not because they were dating, but because he sounded reliable. She prepared for the salon like a queen going for coronation, and with this satisfying thought of my Obi is sponsoring my Christmas look. She did not know that while she was planning beauty, someone else was planning humiliation. What she didn't know was that he had already checked out emotionally. He was tired of the jokes, tired of the banter, and tired of being laughed at quietly. But instead of walking away like normal people, he wanted to leave evidence, something she would never forget. As she walked into the salon that day, her confidence was loud. She greeted the stylist proudly. She sat like a woman with backup. While they started parting her hair, her phone buzzed. It was him. He called, and then he called again. She smiled, like, see my man is checking on me now. By the time she stepped out of the salon chair to stretch her legs, confidence was already walking in front of her like a bodyguard. She checked herself in the mirror and smiled with satisfaction. The braids were neat, the lines were clean, and the style was screaming, I am ready for pictures. She picked her phone. No alert yet, but she was not worried. After all, he had assured her clearly, not once, that he would transfer the money. That sentence was still very fresh in her head. While the stylist continued braiding, she started chatting. She told one customer quietly, my boyfriend is paying. She said it so casually, like someone saying good morning. The woman nodded slowly, the way women nod when they have seen too much in life. Her phone rang. It was him. She smiled and answered quickly. Obi. He asked how it was going. She showed him the progress on video call. He admired the hair and called it a very neat job. He even hailed her and called her the envy of all women. And then he went off. As the braider was through, trimming started. Scissors made that chick chick sound. At that exact moment, she picked her phone again to check. Still, no alert. Maybe network, she thought. She called him. No answer. She tried again. Still no answer. She laughed. This man safe. She didn't panic yet. Confidence was sitting beside her. But 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. And then the stylist said, Madam, my money. Her heart skipped, but she managed to say, Hold on, please. My person will transfer. She called again. This time, the call did not even ring. Fear entered quietly and sat beside her. The stylist folded her arms. Madam, I don't do my person here. I do cash or transfer. She laughed nervously. He's coming. She sent him a message. Baby, they are done. No reply. She sent another. Are you there? Still nothing. The stylist shook her head. You young girls, on a life stress, depending on people that are not even your husbands. That sentence pierced her like a sword, but she ignored it. She tried calling again. This time, the phone was switched off. That was when reality hit her. Her stylist stood up like someone ready to fight, and her voice changed. So, madam, you entered my shop with an empty account. Big girl like you and no vex money? The stylist asks, do you even know what vex money is? As in VEX. She shook her head slowly. Let me educate you. It's the money a lady keeps for disgrace, especially when a man disappoints her in public. Like all those petty boys that will disappear all of a sudden after eating in a restaurant. You will simply open your purse or you may transfer with your phone and save your generation the embarrassment of going to wash plates with a lot of insult and forever stamp, because that name can never be erased. Just like what you have done to yourself right now. The salon was now quiet. Every word landed in the appropriate quarters. The stylist picked up her scissors again. You see this hair? It doesn't work on promises, she said. And out of anger, she began Operation Cut It Down. Before the lady could speak, Precious, scissors touched her natural hair. When the mirror turned towards her, she froze. Half hair, uneven lines, and destroyed confidence. She didn't cry immediately. Shock held her tight. People started murmuring, This is why I don't depend on anybody. Christmas pressure was real. God, I beg, I forbid this kind of embarrassment. She collected her bag quietly, covered her head with scarf, and as she stepped out, confidence stayed behind. She didn't go home. She went straight to his house. This time, anger was leading. When he opened the door, he looked at her from head to toe. Then he frowned. Sorry, who are you and how can I help you, please? That sentence finished her. She shouted, she cried, and she cursed. She reminded him of everything. He listened calmly. Then he said, My dear, it ended long time ago. I just wanted to leave a trademark, and he shut the door. Precious stood there for minutes. Then she walked away. That night, she regretted her life. Christmas lights were blinking outside. Music was playing everywhere, but inside her room, it was quiet. Very quiet. For the first time, she did not blame him alone. She asked herself hard questions. Why did I trust him so much? Why did I depend on him fully? And why did I even ignore the signs? The next morning, she woke up to noise. Laughter from neighbors, music from nearby houses, and the smell of rice and chicken floating through the air. She laid on her bed. This was supposed to be a joyful season, but it became a memorable one for her in a bad way. She reached for her phone, then stopped. What was she opening it for? Pictures? Messages? Or even more embarrassment? She turned her face to the wall instead and thought about her life. Later in the day, hunger forced her up. She tied her scarf tightly like someone going for a secret mission. She avoided the mirror because she knew what she would see. She went into the kitchen and made concoction rice with what was available. By afternoon, the tears came again. She remembered the way the stylish scissors sounded. She remembered how people stared, and she remembered the door slam. She said, "Indeed, the heart of a man is deceitful and desperately wicked." She shook her head. "I trusted vibes, and now he had vibed me away." The more she talked, the more tears flowed ceaselessly. By evening, boredom entered because pain gets tired too. She picked her phone again, this time not to chat, but to search. She typed, "How to make money online." She scrolled slowly. Ideas came and went. She wasn't convinced, but she kept on searching. That night, she wrote something down. "I will not let embarrassment define me, and whatever it takes, I will make my own money." By the fourth day after Christmas, the scarf had become part of her dressing code. She tied it in the morning, she tied it in the afternoon, and she tied it at night, not because she wanted to hide from people, but because she wasn't ready to explain anything. We all know that in this part of the world, once you step outside looking somehow, people don't ask, "Are you okay?" They simply ask, "What happened?" And she didn't have the strength to answer that. The only thing she was ready to channel her attention to was how to correct what the stylist said. Big girl with an empty account. It hurt then, but now it sounded like the truth. She opened her note app again. This time she didn't Google. She wrote down, "What can I do with what I already know? What do people always ask me to help them with? And what can bring small money first?" She stared at the screen, and ideas came slowly, one by one. She remembered how people always told her, "You talk well." Her friends always asked her to help draft messages, and how she was always explaining things clearly. She smiled to herself like someone who had won a jackpot, and she was ready to monetize all of this. The next few days were strange. She woke up earlier, cleaned her room properly, and ate better. One afternoon, she went to the salon again, not to braid her hair this time, but to apologize. The stylist was surprised. Precious apologized calmly for entering without backup. The stylist listened quietly, and then she said, "I am happy you learned your lesson from this. I have forgiven you." Precious smiled. It wasn't forgiveness she wanted, it was closure. As days passed, she started practicing what she planned, helping people draft things and helping friends correct small writings. When she received her first alert, it wasn't much. It's the kind of money people spend on data without thinking twice, but to her, it felt heavy. She read the alert description again and again just to be sure it wasn't imagination. She dropped the phone on the bed and laughed. She felt so proud, and then she said, "This money did not come from begging. It did not come from love, and it did not come from hobby. It came from effort. Someone paid for something I did with my brain." She picked the phone again and opened her WhatsApp. The person had shared the transaction details and even added, "Thank you so much. This really helps." She smiled. Nobody had ever paid or thanked her for rendering any service before. This one was different, and it felt fulfilling. She stood up suddenly, walked around the room, sat back down, and then she whispered, "So, this is how it feels." That That night, she slept better than she had slept in weeks, not because she was rich, but because she felt capable. The next morning, she woke up earlier than usual. She made her bed properly. She swept the room. She didn't rush to spend the morning. She just stared at the alert again and smiled. Later that day, temptation came wearing a familiar face. It was a message from her former OB. Can we see? I want us to talk, please. Her heart reacted first. Old feelings tried to wake up. She closed her eyes and breathed slowly. She did not reply immediately. Rather, she finished what she was doing. Then she replied, I am busy and I cannot promise that. That was all. The days that followed, she dedicated herself to learning new things. Sometimes she felt tired. Sometimes she doubted herself, and sometimes she wondered if all this effort would really matter. But whenever she remembered the Salon embarrassment, it pushed her. Soon, the alerts became more frequent, and so she started keeping records of every alert, every job, and every small win. She treated her growth seriously, and people noticed that she stopped borrowing money. She stopped panicking at bills, and she stopped waiting for people to rescue her. That to her was a huge achievement. She was grateful for that embarrassment because it introduced her to a version of herself she had never met before, and she loved everything about this new version. She became very meticulous with money, not stingy, but just intentional. Before, money came and disappeared. Now, every naira had an assignment. She stopped buying things to impress people. She stopped chasing trends that didn't add value, and she started asking herself one question before spending. Will this move my life forward? If the answer was no, she dropped it. Soon, she became a millionaire. The first thing she changed was her environment because she realized that healing grows better in new spaces. She moved to a different location, a place where nobody knew her past embarrassment, and a place where she could breathe and rebuild. Next came mobility. At first, she used public transport without shame, but she planned carefully and got herself a very comfortable car. She kept leveling up quietly, taking more courses and getting better gigs. She didn't announce her progress and she didn't even post motivational quotes. She invested in comfort, no noise, quality, not quantity, and peace, not pressure. She bought books instead of bars, paid for learning instead of validation, saved for tomorrow instead of begging today. Then one day, life did what it always does. It looked back. Her former Obim saw a new precious and fell in love again. He saw the car and the calm confidence. He started regretting, and regrets turned into messages. At first, it was casual, like, wow, you have changed. Then it became emotional. I've been thinking about us lately. Then it grew and became desperate. I made a mistake. Can you please give me another chance to right my wrong? She read every message calmly, and when she finally replied, her words were simple. She said, you see how you banged that door that fateful day? Leave it forever closed. I have upgraded my life, so I deserve men who match my caliber. That was it. And she indeed met that real man, and she understood the difference between Udogu and Odiego. Before she met him, she was doing pretty well, but she was doing everything alone. She worked with her own hands. She woke up early. She chased customers. She did the talking, the planning, the delivering, and practically everything. Money came. Oh, yes, but money only came when she worked. If she rested, money rested. If she was tired, money disappeared. At that time, she thought she was successful. She didn't know she was only surviving. Then, she met this Prince Charming. They met while she was busy with her life in a place that only serious minded people can be found. And one day he asked her a simple question. How many people work with you? She smiled proudly. Just me. He nodded, but he was not impressed. Another day, he visited her and he watched how she worked non-stop, how she moved from one task to another, how tired she looked even while smiling. Then he said something that changed everything. You are hardworking, but this is not life because you are not working smart. That sentence alone annoyed her. She didn't reply. The man continued. What happens to this business if you fall sick for 1 month? She laughed and then she replied, I won't fall sick in Jesus' name. He looked at her calmly. That's not an answer. That was when she went quiet. Slowly, he began to open her eyes. He explained things simply. If you are the only one doing everything, you don't own a business. You simply own a job. She felt something twist inside her because it was true. He didn't stop there. He encouraged her to employ people. Not many, just one person first. She argued, I can't trust anyone. There will steal. I don't even have enough money. He listened patiently. Then he said, if money only works when you work, you will remain tired forever. Reluctantly, she employed one helper. She trained the person herself and she supervised closely. At first, it was stressful. Mistakes happened. Money leaked. She wanted to quit, but he kept on reminding her. Growth is mercy at the beginning. He assisted financially even without being told, just to keep pushing her and a way of reminding her that he wants more for her business-wise. Then something changed. She noticed she could step away briefly and work continued. Customers were still saved and money was still coming. For the very first time in her life, money worked without her hands touching everything. That scared and excited her. She employed another person, then another. She moved from working inside the business to working on the business. She started planning instead of rushing and thinking instead of panicking. Money began to behave differently. It multiplied. That was when anger hit her. I mean, strong anger. Not towards anyone, but towards herself. She sat alone one evening and thought of Obi, and suddenly she felt ashamed. Not because Obi hurt her, but because she once thought that he was the best thing that ever happened to her. She whispered angrily, how did I even think that was love? Obi was comfortable when she depended on him. He enjoyed control and he enjoyed being needed. This man was different. This man was uncomfortable when she was small. He wanted her to expand. He wanted her thinking outside the box and beyond daily survival. He wanted her own systems, not just a business. That was when the truth hit her clearly. You don't attract the best because you want it. You attract the best when you become better. Back then, she attracted Obin because she was operating from effort and emotion. Now, she attracted this man because she was operating from structure and growth. She finally understood that if you want men with sense, you must have sense. And if you want high-level men, you must upgrade your own level first. Whenever she watched her workers close for the day while she sat calmly planning the next phase, she smiled, not because of the man God had finally blessed her with, but because money was now working for her and she would never go back to survival love again. They did not rush into marriage because there was no pressure, no fear of time, and no let us hurry before things change. They took their time. They talked about money. They talked about values. They talked about work, rest, family, and peace. Nothing was hidden and nothing was assumed. When he finally asked her to marry him, it did not feel like a surprise. Rather, it felt like an agreement. In the marriage, she barely spent her money, not because she was stingy, but because her husband had already handled things before they became problems. Bills were paid calmly. Food was stocked without drama. Needs were met without argument. Sometimes she would even insist on paying for something and he would smile and say, Keep your money there. You worked for it. Or you can send it to your family if you can't think of what to use it for. At first, it felt strange. She had never experienced this kind of ease before. One day, she sat down and checked herself. She realized something quietly. She was no longer in survival mode. She was no longer calculating every decision based on fear. Her money was no longer emergency money, it was choice money. Their businesses grew together, not because they worked endlessly, but because they worked wisely. Systems were in place, workers were trained, processes were clear. If one of them rested, the business did not collapse. Money came in even when they were not physically present, and that was when she truly understood what freedom felt like. They traveled, not to run away from stress, but because they could. They went on vacations without panic. Phones rang. Oh, yes, but it was only for updates, not emergencies. Work continued. Money flowed and life moved on. She would sit by the window in a hotel room holding a cup of tea, and then she would smile to herself because this was once a dream. She didn't even know how to dream. Sometimes in quiet moments, her mind would travel back to the salon, the mirror, the scissors, the shame, and then she would shake her head slowly. That embarrassment had felt like the end of her life then. But now she saw it clearly. If that salon incident had not happened, she might still be begging for validation. If that door had not been slammed, she might still be shrinking herself for love. She became forever grateful for that painful day. Not because the pain was sweet, but because it pushed her out of a nonsense relationship into a meaningful life. Hey, African Tales by Karma Tribe. How are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. Once again, compliments of the season. Before I leave today, I would like to say this. I know love feels beautiful. I know how your heart beats faster when he calls. I know how safe it feels when he says, I've got you. But please hear me. Love can carry you away if you are not anchored. When you are in love, you see the good, you hear the sweet words, you believe tomorrow will always look like today. But my dear Karma tribe, don't let love make you forget yourself. Don't give your whole life into another person's hands and hope they will always hold it gently. People can change, situations can change, phones can go off, and promises can fail. That is why I am begging you, prepare your heart. Always have something of your own, something small, even if it looks insignificant now. Because one day, that small thing will protect your dignity. The scripture rightly says, money is a defense, and that's true. Not because money replaces God, but because lack can expose you. Money gives you a voice. Money gives you options. Money allows you to walk away without begging or shame. If you are in a relationship and it breaks, my dear, drink cold water, calm down, eat very well, and sleep. Don't rush to beg. Don't rush to curse anyone. And don't rush to conclude that your life has ended. Thank God. Yes, I said you should thank God even when it hurts because you may not understand what God is doing at that moment, but He's surely doing what is best for you. Some relationships don't end because you are bad, they end because you are saved. Saved from delay, saved from shrinking, and saved from a life you would have regretted later. What feels like rejection today may be redirection. So take care of yourself. Feed your body, feed your mind, and give yourself time to heal. Because one day you will look back and say, thank God it ended when it did. Let me leave you with this. God never removes something good from your life without preparing something better. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please give it a thumbs up and then share your thoughts with me in the comment section what you think about the story. Please don't forget to share out to your loved ones. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, I beg you to punch on the subscribe button so that you can join the Karma tribe free of charge. Until I bring the next interesting story your way, we say goodbye from here and God bless you.